This presentation is brought to you by the City of Greensboro's Economic Development and Business Support Office.
I said to Craig, I think I'm going to do the marketing thing, and he's like, Jerry, you need to get a real job. You just need to go and settle and just get a real job and just quit this rainbow chasing or whatever the hell it is you do and just go on with your day. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that. So he was pursuing a real job in Kansas, no less, and it was interesting because things kind of went along and I continued to do what I was doing, and by September we actually kind of had a minimum viable product. So if you're in the entrepreneurship world, you kind of get what that means. Just something you can start with that you can go sell to somebody. And we took that and I did a road show with my credit card. We got the opportunity to speak to people, and somebody decided to buy what we were selling. It was very unsuccessful at first because we changed our model, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, but when you apply for insurance, auto loan, health, and anything you apply for, if you put your social security number on it, those companies sell that data. Were you guys aware of that? They tell you, you can go buy it. So I signed up with Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, and I was buying. If you went and applied for something, I would buy it. Now you have to buy it on behalf of another entity, but I would buy it on behalf of mortgage companies. We'd call them, get their interest, and turn around and sell it back to someone else. It just didn't go very, very well at all, but then we connected with another group that was a large mortgage company. They were probably doing $400 million a month in loans. And they said, look, we don't want what you're selling, but you do something really well that we'd like to try. And I was amenable to it because I was broke. So they said, can you just do the live transfer portion of it? And I'm like, yeah, that's why we're doing it. My background was in contact centers. I managed them for years. I didn't have a lot of money. I had $6 or $8 grand left, and I had a credit card with about $5 grand on it. I had some cubicles from an office that I shut down, and that's kind of what we started on. So our first problem was, how do we convince enough people to come work for us when I don't have the money for payroll next week until this company pays me? Well, payroll the first week was my credit card. Payroll the second week was my savings. And by the third week, they gave me a check. So we were making it. And now we've arrived. The next problem we faced was growth, because they still wanted 1,000 of these people on the phone a day. And we were able to produce, 60, 80. I mean, I would get on the phones and make phone calls. We'd do anything we could to keep them happy and satisfied. It was just a really big challenge. So every time a check would come in, they were fairly large, in the beginning they were 40,000 a week, and then some were bigger than that. But I would have to turn around and take all that and pay the bills, pay somebody else, pay Craig, and I'd have to go buy furniture and computers, because nobody's going to loan you money to start a business that they can't even explain. So we have a PR firm now that works for us, and they tell me that I am in the create, converse, and convert business today, they told me. Yeah, so no, the reality is, it's so what does Anomaly do? We kind of sat down and talked about this, and what do you want me to do? I'm kind of that guy. I mean, we have meetings and it's like, we could do that. And then, if you can think it, you can do it, right? You just have to work hard enough to make it happen. It's kind of interesting how it's grown. I mean, we started out, there were 12 people in a room, didn't know how the hell I was going to pay them, had a very difficult time paying them. And then it went to, I don't even do the accounting for a year because I can't keep up with it, so I literally just didn't look. I mean, as long as we could make payroll and do everything else, I don't care. And the big question became, how fast can we grow and how many people can we hire? And we've been in that phase now for a long time. And it's interesting because, again, I kind of touched on it in the very beginning, but I didn't go out trying to think about what problem can I solve today or what can I do. And every interesting idea that I've ever had isn't really an interesting idea at all. It's a problem. It's a very small problem that most people have that they don't take the time to spend to solve it. And for me personally, it started because I didn't want to pay somebody, the equivalent of $25 an hour to make phone calls to find out if it's an answering machine, a disconnected number, a non-interested party, etc. But the reality of it is, there's a tremendous value in that with companies who do things at scale. And it's equally interesting how you can kind of get what you ask for if you genuinely believe in what you're doing. I mean, when we started off, we were willing to do anything. Within a few months, if you couldn't spend $10,000 a week to work with me, I wouldn't even talk to you. And now we still don't. Now the number's 25. we're in the patient recruitment business too. We make probably 4 million calls a week to people about clinical trials. So the way it works is if you are on the internet and you're talking about arthritis, diabetes, whatever it is, drug companies, they contract with third parties because what Pfizer cannot do is conduct a trial that they organize, right? A little bit too much influence, but they can certainly pay millions of dollars to another company to go get patients and conduct a study. See where I'm going with this? Lots of money, and they don't even pay attention to it because Pfizer doesn't really care what it costs. They just want the result. So they go and they get a third party to do this. Well, there's very few unique companies who are qualified to actually do the labor portion of them. We're one of very, very few. There's only one other company that does what we do, and they don't even do all of what we do. And we use things like auto calling. So we have a dialer, and basically what it will do is it will reach out to thousands of people a minute, and it'll play a pre-recorded message. It'll say, hey, this is Dr. Rick Malcolm calling on behalf of X Health, not X, I'm blanking out the name just in case, but we wanted to let you know that a local physician in your area is conducting a clinical research study on behalf of diabetes. If you or your loved one is currently suffering from whatever the ailment may be, press 1 to speak with someone now. And what we do is we have a setup where we receive all those phone calls and we inbound them, and then we screen them medically for the trial, send them over to the doctor's office. Now we're into marketing. The patient recruitment client wanted us to create stuff, which is emails that go out to patients. They tell them about their product or service. They want them to be able to click a button and register for an appointment. They have no idea how the hell they can do it. But they asked me if I could do it. Yes, I can. I don't know anything about email. I know how to send one. But we did. And then there's other interesting stuff, and you know, I've been very fortunate in the last few months that we've continued to grow. We've had great success. We've had some interesting people come along. For me, it's always the IT stuff that's interesting. You know, it's amazing what you can do with technology and efficiency and automation that just you can't begin to touch until you really find that ability. And for me, it's, you know, when people come in, I honestly, I think that entrepreneurship is not technically nothing bad, but I don't find it in the classroom. I find it in my everyday. And what problem do I have to solve? You know, Anomaly Squared has grown by leaps and bounds. We have a ton of folks now who, you know, I don't know what some of them do, but there's enough there who do it that we do a very good job. We've expanded into insurance. All the stuff that I need is technical issues. Graphic design, web design, marketing. You know, we opened a digital and creative services division. I think it was last week or something we announced it. And the idea behind that is very simple. It's the same thing I started out with before. It's what led me to start First Community Mortgage, which is I think I can do it better. It's what led me to call my own leads and do something else, which is I think I can do it better. It's what kind of led me to go in and you know, somebody wanted me to start calling leads and transferring them because they thought I could do it better. And the reality is when it gets to the design group that we started, I think I can do it better. I look at what happens in our area in the Triad, and I look at some of the websites and some of the abysmal stuff that comes out, and I'm like, oh God, you know. In fact, that's what happened with web design. I did my own website the very first time. It wasn't that great. If you've been to our website, I did that. Never doing it again, but it was okay. The point is, it can be better and it can be done better. You just kind of have to really believe in it, and I think that we've got a good enough group or good enough start that we can go in and we can do some really impressive things.